group of GOP House members says it is time to draw a line in the sand. They say President Obama's gone too far when it comes to ignoring laws he doesn't like or simply changing them without ever consulting Congress. They're backing a House resolution that, if adopted, would authorize a lawsuit against the executive branch. Joining us now, one of the co-sponsors who signed on to the resolution, South Carolina Republican Trey Gowdy. Congressman, good to see you today.
Yes, ma'am. How are you?
I am very good. I want to ask you about this, though, because there's legal precedent out there, essentially from 2011, when a group of lawmakers tried to sue over President Obama's intervention in Libya. And a federal court basically told them members of Congress essentially pretty much don't have standing. It's nearly impossible for them to bring a lawsuit against the executive branch. How would this work if it got through the House?
Individual members of Congress have a very difficult time asserting legal standing. What Tom Rice, my friend from South Carolina's goal is to try an institutional approach. The case law that says members don't have standing also allows for the institution itself, under a theory of vote nullification, that if the executive is just nullifying the votes of a co-equal branch of government, that we may have standing. So an individual member, the case you referenced was Dennis Kucinich, challenging the actions in Libya. He does not have standing. But the institution of Congress as a whole, if it relates to recess appointments or the Affordable Care Act or immigration, courts have signaled that they may say the institution itself has standing, and that's what Tommy's trying to do with his resolution.
Okay, and the resolution talks about some specific things. The administrative fix the president tried to make for canceled plans, saying, okay, we're telling state insurance commissioners now and insurance companies they have to give those plans back, at least temporarily. The one-year delay in the employer mandate, and also the fact that the administration in some ways has granted legal status to some illegal immigrants by simply, saying we're not going to enforce certain immigration laws. And I mean, that triggered a lawsuit by ICE agents who say they've been told by the administration essentially to disregard the Constitution and the laws that have been passed. So with those things in mind, and we know there are other examples that critics cite out there, what does it take for this to get through the House? Is it a simple majority? How many people have to sign on for this to move forward?
Well, it'd be a simple majority, and then the Speaker would have to decide whether or not he wants to litigate it. But Shannon, you gave examples of both affirmative and defensive nullification. With respect to DACA or immigration, Congress had a chance to provide a pathway to citizenship for children, and they refused to do so. So Congress refused to act, and the president substitutes his judgment for that of Congress and does by executive fiat what the legislature refused to do. With the Affordable Care Act, he went to the Supreme Court to get a finding that it was constitutional. It's been appropriately funded, and yet he's still turning off certain provisions. So even if he likes the law, and Congress doesn't, he does it by executive fiat. If Congress suggests, as we did during the shutdown, a remedy to the employer mandate or the individual mandate, he threatens to veto our action and then goes and does it himself. So at some point, I don't like running to the court. I'd rather use any other remedy other than going to the court. But our other remedies have not worked. And the judicial branch is there for a reason, and in certain circumstances, Congress ought to be able to assert its standing. And I just think the pervasiveness of his ignoring of Congress has reached the point we don't have a choice.
I want to ask you, there was a hearing obviously on the House about this just a couple of weeks ago, and you cited these examples where the president's kind of done his own thing. And you said, could he also, with these things in mind, could he refuse to enforce election laws? What did you mean?
Why not? If you can turn off immigration laws, if you can turn off the mandatory minimums in our drug statutes, if you can turn off the so-called Affordable Care Act, why not election laws? Assume, Shannon, that a statute said you had to provide 2 forms of ID to vote. Can the president require 3 forms of ID? Can the president require 1 form of ID? Can he suspend all requirements that you show ID? And if not, why not? If you can turn off certain categories of law, do you not also have the power to turn off all categories of the law? And frankly, Jonathan Turley, who is no Republican, I might add, and if you watch the hearing, you know he's not a Republican, he agrees with us. It has reached an unprecedented level, and we got to do something about it.
All right, Congressman Gowdy, we will keep an eye on this resolution. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Have a good Sunday.
You too.